Ahoy hoy Arse fans, Tim Stillman here, and I thought I'd just do a pretty quick reaction video to the news that we got this morning, the confirmed news anyway, that Vivianne Miedema has signed a new contract at Arsenal, which I think pretty much universally has been seen as cause for celebration among Arsenal fans. Now, this has obviously been, I don't really want to call it a saga because it's only a saga because we make it a saga, essentially, but obviously, Viv's contract, her initial contract anyway, was due to expire this summer. And the rumour mill's been going for a good 18 months, 2 years now. Arsenal were offering Vivianne Miedema contracts 18 months ago, possibly even longer than that, but definitely around January 2020. And the interesting thing about this, I guess, as a quote-unquote story, is really a lot of the details are really well known because the player herself has just been so open about what this decision is and what it involves for her. So, she's been very open about the fact that she was thinking about it, even in her interview today, around the new contract. She said, yeah, of course, I explored the possibility of leaving the club. She obviously had lots and lots of offers from different countries, Barcelona, PSG, Lyon, all in very, very seriously with big offers. But in saying that, we shouldn't assume that Arsenal's offer was not big as well, because Arsenal do pay well as well. So, I don't think she's going to be living on the never, never, staying at Arsenal. And I don't think her or any of her people are saying that either. But just bear that in mind when you see kind of tweets or headlines saying she turned down big offers from, that's true, but the offer from Arsenal is big as well. They've kind of pulled out the stops to keep her, really, and this is a conversation that's been going on for quite a long time. The real kind of I've said this before, but the real crux of the decision for Viv, and again, I think she's been very open about this herself. She's happy in London. She's settled. She owns her house in London. She really, really likes playing in the WSL. She really likes the direction it's gone and the fact that pretty much all of the games are challenging. I think it would be going too far at the moment to say all of them are challenging, but most of them are challenging. Arsenal are just coming off a season where they lost one game, but it was to the team that were relegated, which is still quite confusing, really. But it was balancing that, and obviously she wants to win the Champions League. Like, a player like Vivianne Miedema should be winning the Champions League. Of course she should. And I think she said very clearly in her interviews that have gone out today that she wants to do that with Arsenal more than she wants to do it with anyone else, that she feels very at home here, both in the city and the club itself. And I think that really this was probably going a different way. And then Jonas Eidevall's come in. And I don't think it's just the influence of Jonas. A lot has happened behind the scenes. The staff has been beefed up behind the scenes. That process is continuing this summer as well. And obviously, the girls are going to get a new kind of area of London Colney as well. The area they've got was only built in 2015. So they're shelving that and upgrading pretty quickly. So there's a lot of good stuff going on behind the scenes as well. And ultimately, that has persuaded her to stay for now. Now, around the actual contract length, Arsenal never, ever, 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 with any player, ever state the contract length. So this is not just a Miedema thing. This is club policy. I believe they do that on the men's side as well. Albeit on the women's side, actually getting proper information about contract lengths is actually quite difficult. Nobody really that I know of knew until a couple of weeks ago that Jordan Nobbs' contract wasn't expiring this summer. That was just a widely held assumption on my part as well, that it was. And then when I asked Jonas Eidevall about it, he said, no, it doesn't expire this summer. So getting detail on contract lengths in women's football is actually quite difficult at times, and to a large extent, I understand that these players don't earn the earth, and you could argue that it's not as much in the public interest as perhaps an elite men's player's contract. But it looks like this is a 1+1 deal. I'm still trying to confirm insofar as I can the precise kind of state of play with the contract. But back in March or so, I was told that a 1-year extension was was on the cards, and for Viv to sign that extension and then just give it another year to see where Arsenal are going, because she thinks that Arsenal are going in the right direction, are on the right trajectory. But obviously, I don't think she wants to really commit to that for the long term yet. Very similar to what Leah Williamson did actually at the end of last season. So this time last year, Leah Williamson signed a 1-year extension at Arsenal, and then in November or December, she extended that to a more long-term contract because she was convinced by the long-term project. So Viv, I think we can say whether it's a 1 year or a 1+1, I'm not really sure that there's a huge difference between those deals, really, because it looks to me like if she is convinced, say next spring, that Arsenal are on a trajectory that means they can challenge to win the Champions League and, go one better and win the WSL next year, then she'll probably sign. And if they're not, they won't. So whether that's a 1-year deal or a 1+1, to be honest with you, I'm not sure it makes a lot of difference. And I think the detail there is pretty much the same thing. So Vivianne Miedema signing for 1 year. The real kind of calculation that Viv had to make, I think, was weighing up winning the Champions League or staying in the WSL and playing in a league where, I want to be careful how I say this, because I don't think the Spanish league overall is uncompetitive. When you look at, the offer she had from Barcelona, it's just uncompetitive for Barcelona. And I'm sorry, that is not a silly thing to say when they've won every single game with a plus 130 goal difference. Now, don't get me wrong, if Barcelona were in the WSL, it wouldn't be competitive for them either. They would probably win pretty much every game in the WSL as well. So I'm not having a shot at the Spanish league there. It's just playing for Barca probably isn't much of a challenge at the moment because they're so far ahead of everyone else. And I think Viv does want to be challenged on a week-to-week basis. But at the moment, at this moment in time, that kind of competitive league or playing in a team where it's a challenge and winning the Champions League, those two things don't exist. You've kind of got to choose between the two, because if you want to win the Champions League any time in the next couple of years, you go to Barcelona, you'll win it. Simple as. But I think there was a bit more of a calculation in Viv's head. And obviously she's 25, I think she's 26 this summer. And so, she's coming towards her peak years, but she is young enough potentially to put that decision off for a year or two. And I think in her thinking, she'd rather do that, playing in the WSL, living in London and playing for Arsenal. But if in a year's time that does not look like happening, or Arsenal have stalled or are not on a satisfying part of their trajectory, I'm sure that, she'll revisit some of those offers, and I'm sure Arsenal understand that as well. But for now, for Arsenal, obviously this is huge. It reduces the amount of work they have to do this summer, because obviously had Vivianne Miedema left, then they would have had to have replaced her. And obviously that would have been a very, very difficult task. Now, I think I've said this before in another video. I think the task of replacing her as a 9 has already happened with the signing of Stina Blackstenius. Viv hasn't played up front since February now. She's been in the number 10 role ever since. And she said quite clearly that factored in her decision to stay, because she likes that position. She likes having more involvement on the ball, and she likes that Arsenal can offer that to her. And so I think that's what we'll see next season. I think we'll see Vivianne Miedema as a number 10, probably for the whole season. We saw points this season where Stina was substituted, or if Caitlin Ford started up front, she was substituted, and Viv still didn't go into the number 9 role. So I suspect quite strongly she's in the 10 role to stay. And so I think that is a big thing for Arsenal, because for some reason or another, players like Jordan and Mana Iwabuchi, they just haven't had the game time in that role. And whether that's because Jonas Eidevall doesn't think they can play it in the way he wants, or whether that's down to fitness. Both of those players had injury problems this season, I'm not sure. But one thing's for sure, he likes Vivianne Miedema in that role, and I think we'll see her in that role going forward. So for now, Arsenal fans can definitely celebrate and breathe a sigh of relief. And I think it's a really good thing as well for Arsenal and for their prospects to have big players like Leah, like Viv, challenging the club and saying, how much further do you want to push this? How much do you want to try and win the Champions League? And if those players, help, I mean, I'm not saying the only reason that Arsenal would try to do that is because of that. But if they're kind of put that on the line to Arsenal and Arsenal have convinced them, then I think that's a good thing. And hopefully we can look forward to another really competitive season for Arsenal next year. This time, hopefully with a trophy in the bag somewhere along the line. But obviously the headline news is Arsenal are keeping one of the best players in the world. And that is a reason to celebrate, and everything else can wait till later.